low drag, K24 swapped. It is ready to go racing, and James is not shy about his aggression level, Arjuna.
And with the championship being split by 6 points, Erik Catil back in 5th in qualifying. It doesn't sound bad, but Erik Magnussen has a chance here at a track which we know will favor the torque of his car to try and take the championship lead and build an advantage into the final 2 rounds where Catil knows his car is going to be quick.
Time to go racing at Watkins Glen International for Eibach GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. Round number 4 of 6. Green flag, and we're underway. And Michael Pagano got a great start in the background there, and we're 4 wide in the middle of the field. The 3-car Magnussen's clear. Smedegaard and Houghton side by side into the first turn.
Smedegaard getting pushed out slightly there as they drop down through the 90, but now begin the climb up through the S's. Lots of chopping and changing further back. Looks like an issue on the left front for one of the Nissans a little bit further down through the field. Houghton up to 2nd, but only momentarily. Here comes Smedegaard back around the outside.
Front drive versus rear drive. Which car is Ibrahim going to help in that number 600? For Garagistic down the backstretch, 3 wide for 2nd place, and Magnussen's trying to get out of Dodge while everybody is door-to-door behind them, 130 miles an hour into the bus stop.
Erik Catil being swarmed slightly, but done a decent job to stay in 6th position as they slot out through the inner loop. Matthew Ibrahim on the inside there holds on to that spot. Some great racing now as they drop down into the boot with your leader breaking away.
Yeah, a little bit more of a disjointed start than I was expecting from this group, and it looks like it's got everyone on the back foot. But now Smedegaard closing in big on Magnussen through turn 6. So it's Magnussen, Smedegaard, Houghton, first 3 cars at Ibrahim, Morrison, and here comes Catil in the number 82 Honda with Hilo, who's had clutch issues all weekend, charging forward in the Eibach 350Z.
This is where the nimble cars may have a chance to try and pick their way through some of the issues that we'll see up front. I'm now wondering how competitive the battle between Magnussen and Smedegaard is going to be. Remember, Andy won 3 of the 4 races last time at Gingerman. He missed the previous round of the championship, but his car's quick enough that he might still be a championship contender if anything goes wrong for Magnussen and Catil, and Smedegaard can eat into their points advantage.
Take your best 14 races across the year, so definitely still room for Andy Smedegaard to win this title. But Catil nurses a 6-point advantage over Erik Magnussen, but as they run, that would already put Magnussen as the championship leader. So there's the consideration. Little wiggle on the entrance to turn 11, but the gap to the lead is smaller than it was on the backstretch last time.
That BMW's got a 6.3 liter V8 under the hood. It's got lots of torque, but as much as you might think big power, big displacement equals big top speed, not always the case. It gets off the corners well, but some of the other cars can match it in a straight line and be better actually. Just take some time to get up to the top of the rev range, and climbing up here through the S's, that helps Erik Magnussen slightly, and Andy Smedegaard's going to have to really send the car through the boot of the lap, where I think that car is going to be slightly quicker.
Yeah, again, I think the run up to the top of the track at its highest point is the toughest thing for that FA24 powered Toyota 86. Someone was doing 133. I think it was James Houghton that was over 130 miles an hour, which is quick for a GLTC car. Here's Ibrahim on Morrison for 5th place.
Both looking very settled as they sweep down through that banked and cambered turn 5. Drop down into the boot. Slightly awkward corner in some ways is turn 6. Carry lots of speed, but if you get it slightly wrong, get out of the groove, find yourself pushing out into the grass on the exit of the curb rather easily, and then up into the toe of the boot. It's a place you can make moves as you get onto the brakes, but because gravity works with you as you climb the hill, you can also be aggressive and defend quite well.
Tell you what, these top 3 are beginning to get closer together. I think that Houghton's pushing Smedegaard, Smedegaard's pushing Magnussen, and once these 3 start to fight, it's going to bring Ibrahim and Morrison and Catil right back into the fray. So this is far from over. I know the advantages looked large to start, but that disjointed start really threw everyone for a loop.
Yeah, Smedegaard and Houghton battling so hard on the run out of turn 1 up through the S's. That didn't help their case either. And now with the bit between their teeth, doing a decent job to reel them back in. But again, drive off the corner. That's where Magnussen's got a decent advantage, I think, on the rest of the field. And you'll see it here as they power down out of the final corner and run down to the 90 for the 3rd time in this race. About 12 minutes left on our clock. But remember, if we do get a safety car, we could extend that out slightly, as Fastest lap punched in by James Houghton.
Yeah, and that's a new record, a 2:07.785 for the front-wheel drive GLTC cars.
No record to go back to, I guess. So
yeah, no points available for records in this series regardless, but I think Andy's going to feel some pressure here from that TSX, and Catil is all over the back of Ibrahim now as we climb the 3 stories to the top of the S's.
Yeah, there's a big separation between 3rd and 4th right now, closing on 2.5 seconds, I would think, entering into the inner loop at about 128 miles an hour for Eric Magnussen. That BMW, oh, it looks so settled through that corner.
It does, and he has experience here, and I think that experience is going to matter a lot when you're working up to this racetrack in race conditions. And it just looks very, very tidy, very settled, very composed. And that confidence, as Greg Creamer always says, comfort breeds confidence, and confidence breeds speed.
Confidence is something that, especially when I'm in the IMSA paddock, you try not to talk about, because everyone, if you're not confident,
you're not there.
You probably shouldn't be there, right? But here, especially when you have drivers coming here for the first time, they don't have test days like they do in IMSA a lot of the time, so they don't get 2 or 3 days before they come to the racetrack to go and figure things out. And it's not like a simulator can really help you necessarily with some of the unique builds that these drivers have, although just wonder now, with the advent of AI and whatnot that you and I have been playing around with quite a bit, could some of these drivers build really good representation of their cars in the sim world? That could also help them tweak and figure out what sort of changes they want to make as well.
It certainly wouldn't hurt. And there's a lot of drivers in this field that work on their own cars. There are some that have a little bit of team support, not a ton, but you know, if you have that knowledge or have the comfort to start tweaking on your car to find speed, Catil almost to the edge of the road at turn 10, then I think you're in a good spot. But Eric Catil, you know, he was reasonably pleased with 5th place in qualifying, but dropped a spot on the start, and now still trying to apply pressure to the back of this E36. And here comes Hilo. That's an LS swapped 350Z, but remember that this year, their new regulations only allow up to 240 horsepower, so the differentials aren't as big as they used to be.
Catil lost out slightly to Ibrahim there, but you saw brake lights on, even dropping down past the apex for the BMW. That's going to slow his momentum as you now climb the hill. Great drone shot as you saw the separation close, but now this is where Catil maybe struggles a little bit more. It takes him a while for that car to reach terminal velocity. As much as the top speed is good, just not enough of a straight here at Watkins Glen with the incline as well to really see a difference there. Everyone around 130 miles an hour as they pitch the car in.
It's so even. That's really the thing that I'm noticing here is everyone's struggling to find an advantage. Everyone's so tight.
I'm pretty sure Matthew Ibrahim feels he's quicker right now than Morrison in front, but just unable to pull alongside and make moves.
Oh, Catil took a look into the inside of 6, but got the door slammed shut.
There's not enough heavy braking zones here to really make lunges, and I think that's what's causing them issues right now. There's going to be a desperation send at some point, I would think. Matthew Ibrahim just being very patient right now and trying to avoid causing that chaos too early.
Oh, Houghton trouble out of turn 7. He's slowing off pace to the inside. Likely a mechanical issue for the 41, but drops out of 3rd place, and now this becomes a battle for 3rd.
So podium stakes, Catil on the inside, heading up to turn 8, which is the preferred line. He's going to give space to the BMW to roll speed, long way around, mindful of track limits, but slides in front, and crucial move from the championship leader.
Yeah, again, when you're looking at Magnussen already having such a strong start to this event, you've got to figure out how do you cut that deficit. Morrison drops the tire at the exit.
I tell
turn
you,
9.
Ibrahim's going to feel frustrated and instantly back up the inside coming into turn number 10 as up front getting closer potentially between our leaders. But with Ibrahim knowing he's quicker, I think, than Morrison, he's going to be even more frustrated to be stuck behind Catil. It's going to be about a second gap between Morrison and the chasing pack now. He might be comfortably clear in that podium spot as Houghton dives to pit lane.
That was actually Ryan Christoph that dove to pit lane too. So issues for the CRX. Unfortunately, 7 minutes to go. Catil running out to the edge of the rumbles at turn 1. It's only half a second between the 2 leaders. Magnussen over Smedegard, and Andy is looking good chasing this number 3 down.
I mean, his car was imperious at Gingerman. He was the driver to beat, no question about that. Catil and Magnussen were fighting over second, and effectively the scraps, as it were. That car, though, it just must have been on the last lap where Magnussen made a mistake, or maybe Smedgaard was able to just close up the inside, surely not through the outer loop.
Yeah, here he comes. Andy's dialed in now. Took him a couple laps to build up the confidence. And then without the pressure from James Houghton behind, he can focus entirely out the windshield here. And last time by was a good bit quicker, almost a full second quicker than Eric Magnussen.
Yeah, Magnussen must have made a mistake because he was close to 8/10 off his fastest lap. Is the car maybe starting to struggle a little bit as well? He's leaving doors for Smedgaard to attack, but I think he's aware that Andy's not going to force the issue until he takes the time to figure out where the move will be made. The ASM team have got a couple of cars here, although we should mention Salil Shukla had an incident during practice that saw him hit the tires on the exit of turn 9, slewed sideways, someone went straight into the side, and that car's a write-off. So at least one of the ASM machines, unfortunately not here today.
Yeah, for Andy, the biggest loss is the dig out of turn 7, the toe of the boot. That is a very steep uphill. And though the FA24 makes pretty good torque, that Subaru-based Boxer engine, the LS under the hood of the M3 out front right now is much stronger in those torquey digs out of the lowest point on the racetrack. Single yellow waving flag, and I would bet if that's still for Houghton, he was not able to find a cutout, so that is going to leave us under a local yellow.
We had someone else stop there, I think, yesterday, so it's not an unfamiliar position for our track services team to be in. It's a climb before you get down to the drop that gets you to turn 8, so if you've got no power, it can be hard. 4/10 the margin at the line for our race leaders, and Andy's there, but he just doesn't seem to have the torque to get alongside at this part of the lap. It's in the middle and final sectors where he's going to be.
Yeah, that's that 41 still.
So that will be somewhere at just after turn 8.
Yeah. So into the inner loop again. 130 miles an hour, remarkably consistent is the number 3 of Eric Magnussen. And Smedgaard is quicker through this section. He's going to open the door to the inside. He takes a look in the carousel. That's where this car is so strong. And he knows the boot is probably not going to be the place out of those digs where his car has the advantage. And he's identified where his car's quick. To the inside at 6.
Well, Magnussen is struggling. He was down to a 2:08.9 last time. He is driving in the mirrors, and so as much as these are not the places maybe to get the drive off the corner, surprise could help Smedgaard here to force the issue and try and force Magnussen into a mistake. And if you're Magnussen, as much as Smedgaard could be a championship contender, your main focus must be Eric Cottil. Second would not be the worst thing in the world here.
No, it wouldn't. You're right. Big picture.
But tell that to a racing driver.
Yeah, big picture racing, for sure. But this is a great battle. These two are in their own zip code. A little wide there for Andy in the 212.
Now, there's something on the front that makes me wonder if Andy's had a bit of an interesting weekend as well, and there's maybe a story to be told.
I noted that, and he actually got into the back of, I think it was Magnussen at Gingerman Raceway. So these two have had a little bit of comings together. That bump that you're seeing, I believe, is from the last event.
Okay.
But I think that's the white flag that we've got displayed now. This should be our last lap, and it will be, I believe.
Catch fence getting in the way once again. Drop down to the first turn.
Yeah, there it is.
Is the final lap of the race.
White flag. And this is Andy's last opportunity. He's half a second back. He has identified where he is strong. Joel Morrison's had a problem in the 71. That moves Ibrahim up to 3rd. Cottil is going to take 5th. Hilo has slotted himself into 4th place. What a strong run for the Eibach 350Z. And Donald Louie, a career day for him in that 898.
Yeah, I got to say, for Eric Cottil, he won't be too frustrated given that he started 5th, will finish 5th as well. I think that damage limitation, last lap of this race, is Smedgaard going to be able to get close enough? He's really sent it over those inside curves, back to the inside through the outer loop, but Magnussen closes the door.
Yeah, took a swing at him there. I just don't think there's quite enough space there, and Eibach kept it tacked up. And that might have been Andy's last opportunity, but he's going to keep digging. Just 3 car lengths behind. Down into the boot for the final time in race 1 for Eibach GRIDLIFE Touring Cup. M3 versus Toyota 86. Power to weight racing at its best.
Sign as well that if Smedgaard and Houghton hadn't cost each other time on that first lap, maybe there would have been a couple more attempts to work on the back of this BMW, because there's no question this is a fight that in the remaining 3 races is going to be interesting. And based on the fastest race laps from race 2, we set the grid for race 3. So there's some interesting things for us to think about in our second race coming up later on today.
Here comes Erik Magnussen leaving turn 9 ahead of Andy Smedegaard. They battled back and forth for Andy. Missed the second round of racing at Road Atlanta. But for Erik Magnussen, a win in the first race of the season back at South Carolina. He is just going to hold off Andy Smedegaard. It will be his 3rd win on the season in Eibach GLTC, and Andy is just behind, 2 car lengths back across the stripe. Magnussen wins at WGI.
Smedegaard just doesn't have that power to get off the line and force a drag race. And if we'd had a lap or 2 more, I think Erik would have been a lot more nervous about how that race would have finished, but ultimately wins, Catil down in 5th, championship getting even tighter as we pass the halfway mark of the year.
Yeah, great battles coming to the line there. That's Jeff Donati just eking out Brandon Gannum. Didn't see what position that was for, but Ryan Christoph, Houghton, Lee Wombolt, Gatos, Veerhout, all with mechanical issues in this one. Ayrton Grimm, we didn't really hear a lot from him either, did we? P21 for the 2 car, so hadn't been much of a story this weekend.
I think that 3 wide to the line.
Yeah, that was good back there too. But all right, let's have a look at the results here for our first race for Eibach GLTC. Big gaps. The start was a little messy, Arjun, and it kind of changed how this race panned out. But Erik Magnussen, Andy Smedegaard, Matthew Ibrahim, I think is his first podium in that 600 Garagistic car. Michael Hilo and Eric Catillier, top 5. Decent finish for Eric, but I think he's going to want a lot more.
Yeah, but again, damage limitation in front of Donald Louis, who had great results. Matt Walbaum, Joe Morrison, Mason Bursack, Blake Korth, your top 10, and big gaps then starting to build as you dive into the meat of the top 20.
Yeah, and looking down, Julio Crispin in his first race back in a while, and a brand new car to him, a 2009 Mazda RX-8, finishes 19th. Joe Tulo in 20th. Kevin Zhu, by the way, late entrant to this event, drove down from the Boston area on Thursday to be here. P12 in the first race of the weekend for him. And then looking down the rest of the order, Ayrton Grimm, we pointed out, Justin Lee, Jeff Wasilko, Matt Beck, Michael Pagano, and the rest of the runners down to Chris Gatos in 30th. And then Peter Cipollini, Shreddy Brown, Nathan Manning, Jay Rebus, and then, of course, the cars that pulled off, Ryan Christoph, James Houghton with some kind of mechanical issue, Lee Wombolt, John Gatos, who is in a borrowed car. He was the driver that was involved in that testing accident on Thursday, and Robbie Veerhout out with some issues early on in the going. Let's have a look at the highlights here for Eibach GLTC race number 1 and get a little bit of a look back on the very timed race. Not a lot of passing, but Arjuna is so close together on pace that it was difficult for people to make advances.
Yeah, a couple of people getting some great jumps. Michael Pagano included in that mix in the white and orange BMW, but really the start battle between James Houghton and Andy Smedegaard allowed a bit of a breakaway. The top 3 eventually started to concertina together as the ASM machine in second got closer and closer. Morrison and Ibrahim having a great battle for what ended up being a podium spot at the end of the day, once James Houghton had a technical issue coming out of turn 8.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. I mean, this 41, it hasn't seen a racetrack in some time, so there's going to be a couple little gremlins here and there to fix, but when it runs well, it is quick. There's Eric Catil running from Matt Walbaum. They fought for positions back here in 2023. Walbaum went on to win the 3rd race of the weekend. But Andy just a little bit short. That is Eibach GRIDLIFE Touring Cup.